Welcome in, everyone, to Bet, Win, Repeat. This is Picks and Parlays. I'm Hannah Mears. This is our show that gives you weekly content, Monday through Friday. If you want to be involved in our contest, you'll have to head over to our Facebook page. That's where all of our contests are taking place. Go ahead and join that page over on PMP contest page at Facebook. We have weekly and monthly contests. It's always fun. It's a great community to join, especially if you like betting. So head over there. Download the new Picks and Parlays app, available on all mobile device platforms. There is going to be even more exclusive content on the app coming your way this fall. So you don't want to miss out on any of that. I'm Hannah Mears. I have Cam and Lenny joining me today on the Bet, Win, Repeat show. We have a lot to talk about that's happening in the world of sports, right? So there's a lot going on, from NFL preseason to baseball sort of wrapping up, a lot of NHL talk happening this past week as well with the moves that the Pittsburgh Penguins are making. This is sort of the time of year where I feel like everything sort of ends up having a crossover at once, and we get to get really hyped up for everything happening. So for everybody out there, let's start right here, because there's also something big happening in the sports betting world. And this is huge because this is going to be probably the next step into seeing sports betting become more acceptable, probably globally, instead of just only in some states and only here and there. ESPN signs a contract with Penn Gaming. Penn National Gaming used to be, for anyone who doesn't know, they acquired Barstool, and that was their big deal. Penn sells 100% of Barstool back to Dave Portnoy, and then partners with ESPN as ESPN opens their own sportsbook, ESPN Bet, and a nearly $2 billion deal. Now you can see how the dominoes were falling and why ESPN laid a lot of their talent off, but then also was able to sign someone like Pat McAfee, who will be able to capitalize on their sportsbook and make their sportsbook money. This is huge, and there's a lot of backlash as well, because the ESPN does a lot of college football, and all of these athletes are being now under a microscope for betting violations. So there's a lot to wrap your head around with this, and looking at the college, maybe athletics landscape and betting on it 5-10 years down the line. A lot of interesting things that could be happening. Cam, when you saw that this was happening, what are some of your initial thoughts about ESPN having their own sportsbook?
Yeah, it's not shocking. Everything you listen to, whether it's ESPN, Fox, anything, they talk about the lines, they talk about the movement, they even talk about props, they talk about everything. So it's not surprising. And, a huge entity like ESPN that makes so much money year in and year out on sports, why not figure out a way to make more money? Why not? They have enough weight to throw around. People are going to want to bet with them because they're ESPN. People are going to want to do this because they're ESPN. But like you said, something like ESPN is going to have the weight and have the muscle to really spread this countrywide. Like here in Georgia, we can't. It's not a thing. Right. But like something like ESPN is going to spread that money around. So, I think it's a good thing, because the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta, we have 3 professional teams. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really good thing. And it's somebody like me that does this, that can't just go down the street and place a bet like Lenny can. This is a big deal for, this is a big deal for the entire betting world and all of us, because ESPN, as I said, will really expand it and make it a world phenomenon, if you will.
And it's no secret that ESPN struggled financially over the years. We saw a strong decrease in what they were able to do because of all these streaming services coming out and everything happening around that. This gives them their own stream of revenue. And if ESPN is jumping on board with betting, they obviously see where the sports media world is trending, and it is legalizing gambling everywhere. That's just going to be a thing. Lenny, you're someone who's been in the gambling world a long time. You are in the heart and soul of where 90% of America goes to gamble, in Vegas. So this has to be huge out in Vegas right now.
Yeah, it's the talk of the town for sure. And here's the thing. It's like, ESPN, as much as you love and hate them, and everybody's loved and hate them at some point, they are the originators of this stuff. I mean, they brought sports to television and on a regular basis. And this is the next move. I mean, you can't go to a stadium, any sporting event, and not see something, DraftKings or FanDuel or Caesars or MGM or whatever. You can't see a promotional stuff anywhere, just even in stadiums. And ESPN just kind of, it's the next natural progressive move for them, or progression. And I don't think anybody's really, I'm not surprised by this move. It's all about the money. It's all about the dollar.
Right.
It's always been about the dollar. I don't know why everybody's surprised about that.
Really?
Like, it's always about the money.
Right. And ESPN has betting shows. They're only expand from here, and they're only going to get bigger from here, especially now that they can use their own book. It makes sense for them. Now they can expand these shows and bring in all of the money and not have to, split it with people going somewhere else or using FanDuel or using Caesars and figuring out the disparage of that. They can bring it all into themselves. It makes complete sense. It almost seems like when we talk about the value of the dollar, I had talked about this a few days ago on the nightly sports call here in Pittsburgh about the NCAA realignments. And every single time we've talked about it, I was like, no matter how many ways you go about trying to talk about this, it all comes down to money. The Pac-12 signed a $33 million media rights deal. The SEC and Big Ten had $60+ million deals, and that's what we saw happening. Did I think it was going to happen this fast? No, but it is happening fast. Did you guys have anything to say about that? I haven't had to talk to you about that. I wasn't able to talk to you guys. I'm really curious to see how you guys feel about this.
Are you talking about like the teams moving, the alignment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's crazy, but I think at the very same time, some of the alignment should have some restrictions.
Okay. In what ways?
With the travel. That's what I'm saying. Like, so with the travel, like some of these teams like USC, like I saw yesterday, like the ACC, or maybe the day before, the ACC is looking to expand as well now too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Stanford.
one of their teams is Cal.
Mm-hmm. And Stanford, I think, was in the top.
Cal and Stanford. That's such a
Oregon in the Big Ten. I mean,
yeah, but
you got a Rutgers Oregon matchup. You literally can't be.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the travel has to be a little bit has to be taken into account for, because these kids, male or female, whatever, like they're still in school.
Yeah.
The Oregon Rutgers, which either one, like I used to coach a kid that goes to Rutgers, like either one, somebody's gonna have to go to the other coast. Now with Cal and Stanford potentially going to the ACC, that's an extra day of travel.
Yeah.
Both ways.
And what's crazy about it, everyone knows that this isn't going to affect football teams' travel. They could have private jets. They will have investors. They will have people doing this. We're not worried about football and the top facilities that they have, the recovery programs that they will be able to have, the tutors that they could send if they want to. Football programs have money to make this possible. We are talking about the domino effect of the smaller sports. When you look at teams, soccer teams, games that could go into like double overtime. Yes, what? Like baseball, softball, track and field. I mean, you have swimming, diving, hockey, every single sport, wrestling, every sport you can think of. And these kids having to travel, maybe with lesser funds, it might not be possible.
Basketball, they're good. Mm-hmm. They're good. Baseball is even going to be okay for a lot of these schools as well. But that's exactly what you guys just said is what I mean. Like a track and field. Or a hockey, or and even like that, there's going to be some of these schools aren't going to have a hockey team, and vice versa. And that's going to sway it, and that's going to be different. And see, then what's going to happen is they're going to have to say, well, we're in the ACC or we're in the Big 12 or the Big 10 for football and basketball, but the rest of all the other sports, we say the same.
Well, that's what's next.
Yeah, that's what's next, in my opinion.
Is like the track and field will be in the Pac-12, and then the football team will be in the Big 10, and that's coming. In my opinion,
but here's where that gets dicey: is the media deals. Then there is a lot that's going to be involved in the renegotiation. So there is so much. Like when we first talked about this on Friday, we had talked a lot of just about the basic standard money and possibilities of super conferences in the future at every level, and maybe 4 major ones in each state. Like that was most of the talk. Now, when you really break it down, it comes down to all of this. Will we see that in the future? There's a school locally here in PA, and this is just one example. There's thousands where different sports are different divisions. Wrestling is a Division I program at this college, but everything else is Division II. And I think that's like you got to you guys' point, will happen eventually with these conferences.
Absolutely.
That's the next step. Or unfortunately, some of these schools might switch divisions because financially that might be what they have to do. Also, you will start to see dominance in a lot of these sports from different conferences. The Big Ten, I saw a tweet the other day saying that women's volleyball, with the additions in the Big Ten of Washington and Oregon, now owns 27 of 41 national titles, would be to the Big Ten. Like, you are going to see sports be super in conferences, how the SEC was football and how now women's volleyball will be the Big Ten. It's going to be insane, the amount of changes you're going to see and how that's going to affect everyone moving forward.
I think it's also going to speed up the college football expansion process.
Mm-hmm.
The playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to have to, because like now all these teams, like for instance, the Pac-12 teams, the USCs, the Oregons, those, they could maneuver the SEC teams or the Big Ten teams or whatever. Like, they could maneuver and slip in. Now they have to play each other.
Yeah.
They have to play each other. And this is going to be like a double-edged sword. It's going to have to increase that timeline to where they expand to 8 or expand to 12, whatever it is. But now there's going to be other teams and other conferences that are going to be pissed because they have no shot. They can go undefeated, 13-0.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
But they're in the SoCon, or they're in the Sun Belt, or they've been playing Talladega Tech. They haven't played anybody because everybody is all in a pile. The SEC, football-wise, they're still the show. The Big Ten is an issue now. The ACC.
Big Ten's always been an issue.
But they got better. I'm not saying they weren't an issue, but I'm saying like now, like people are like, oh, well, 2 SEC teams got in or 2 Big Ten teams got in. Duh.
Oh yeah.
Those are the only places the teams are going to come from now.
Right. Yeah. Don't be
That's
surprised.
what I'm saying. Like, it gives the other however many conferences no shot.
Yeah, and Lenny, from a recruiting perspective, if you're an athlete and you want to go play football, typically you want to go to the SEC or Big Ten. That would be probably the top of your list. You can argue for a Clemson or something in ACC, but now even Florida State moving to the SEC or Big Ten, let's say for argument's sake, those are where you want to go. It helps so much being an athlete now, knowing that Washington, Oregon, Florida State are possibilities for you. Now SEC and Big Ten are going to be even more competitive because there's more options for kids to go. Am I wrong in saying that? Like, that seems like
no, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. And here's the thing is, if I'm a collegiate athlete and I want to go to first of all, you want to go to the biggest school possible because you want to be on the biggest stage possible. Bigger the stage, bigger the audition, the bigger the payday if you get in the NFL, right? You don't want to go to the Clemson. No offense to Clemson. I just, I'm saying you want to go to those bigger schools or somewhere like that. And it's all about the money, and as soon as they started paying players, and then it's now a trickle down effect. And this is I don't want to say it's necessarily a bad thing. I think everybody's hating on it. I think it's a good thing in a way, but I think the evolution is to certain sports will be Division II, certain will be Division I, and we will break off conferences. I think that is coming sooner than everybody thinks. And then people will say the audacity and what we're doing to these kids and all this, but I love it personally. My best friend in Vegas is an Oregon Duck fan. So there's the amount of shit that has been talked between us in the last couple of days is ridiculous. So I love it.
It's great for the fans and it's great for fans of football.
Yeah.
Where we're going to see the issues arise is with these smaller sports and the series of unfortunate events that could occur long term. Honestly, it's crazy to think about what the college sports landscape could look like in 5 to 10 years down the line, which is also why I think NIL has been such an important addition, because these kids may not get as long as they think in college and college athletics, and they need to capitalize on these opportunities as quickly as they can. Speaking of money, did you guys on Netflix watch the Johnny Manziel documentary yet?
I was just talking about.
I know this isn't about betting, but I have to get through this really quickly while we're talking about college football. Started watching it today. This man scammed the entire NCAA while he was in college and is so transparent about it. I've seen in my time at big universities these people that come around with autographs and cash offering people money. I was not witness to anybody taking anything, but I have known that there are people who do this. Johnny Manziel was doing it. He already devised a plan knowing he'd get caught. He knew he'd get caught by the NCAA because they have an entire division who investigates this stuff.
Right.
He knew he was going to get caught anyway. So he and his buddy schemed a whole plan that he would send wads of cash to his grandpap, who would take the money and write him checks as if his grandpap was just giving him money to have fun on the weekends. So this man had no evidence following his trail about where this money was coming from. And he devised an entire plan that his family was from oil money. So that's where this money was coming from. He already had money growing up. It was nothing new to him. It was the smartest thing I have ever seen done by what looked like one of the dumbest 20-year-olds on planet Earth.
For sure.
Ended up being one of the dumbest 20-year-olds, but
right. But how smart is that? And this is where the NCAA did mess up, because $45 million are being sold in his jersey sales. If you didn't think somebody was going to speak up eventually, you were wrong. And Texas A&M University benefited hundreds of billions of dollars while Manziel was there.
His name became Johnny Football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Johnny. Put some respect on his name, Johnny Football.
It's right there in the name.
Well, here's the thing: is the kid's you know what the kid is? He reminds me of like a Logan Paul, Jake Paul situation, and not
absolutely
they're marketing geniuses. They want you to hate him. The more you hate them, the more money they make.
Villains make more money. Jake Paul said it in his documentary. Villains make more money.
I just watched that. He's like it's like if anybody's a wrestling fan, I mean, or anything like that, SummerSlam, just have WWE. Like, you have to have a villain and a hero. Mm-hmm. And it's the popular thing to do is hate Johnny Football, hate Jake Paul, whatever, and Jake or Johnny Football is a little different though. First of all, his documentary is on the watch list today. Kids went back to school, and I've been running through documentaries Monday and Tuesday. I finished quarterback.
It does make you feel for him as well. Like, you have to watch it and see from a mental health perspective of a 20-year-old kid and the amount of attention he was getting, whether positive or negative. It makes you feel for this person and why his NFL career immediately failed. He admits to ruining his own reputation in Cleveland on purpose because he just needed out.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a big proponent of mental health awareness and check on your friends, check on your families, make the call. Don't send a text, pick up the damn phone. And I don't think we put enough emphasis on the mental just fortitude that these guys have to play professional sports in general. I mean, you have a whole city that would just probably they just hate you. If you're the starting quarterback and you suck. We used to joke in Detroit, Hockey Town, USA. You know who your two favorite athletes are in Detroit? The backup goaltender and the backup quarterback. Those two guys are your favorite athletes because they're always better than the guy on the field or the ice. You know what I mean? So like the amount of just stress that goes into this, and I get it. They pay, you're paid to deal with that stuff, but this just goes to show you that
you can't be paid to deal with that.
I know he had suicide scare, stuff like that. Like he was in a mental bad spot, and
Ricky Rubio just took time off of the league.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. And when you really see it broken down, and I'm so glad Johnny Manziel in this documentary, and I'm not quite finished yet, is very open about talking, because I think that's super important to just talk about it from his perspective instead of hearing it from other people. Him getting the story out there. So yeah, everyone watch the Untold documentary on Netflix about Johnny Manziel. It's absolutely interesting and something that will make you really change your perspective on how you look at him, but also how you look at the NCAA and realize, yeah, no wonder he was doing this. Well, you would have done the same thing at 20 years old. Something I want to transition into with you guys. I know we have a lot of comments going on about the MLB right now and what's relevant. Philadelphia is one of those teams holding on to a wild card spot right now. But there's a lot of teams very close to them when you look at the National League. Philadelphia tonight, money line. What do you guys like about this game? Where do you see the future of the Phillies? Do we like them riding the rest of the season out and getting in?
Right now they're in a good spot in their schedule. I know they did. I think they lost one of the doubleheader games yesterday. They are tied with the Giants
Mm-hmm.
They're both tied in the wild card. They're both 3 games up off of the next best team. For the most part, the Phillies are playing pretty well, and they have a likable schedule, throughout the rest of the way. And, this is exactly what they did last year. They figured it all out. They put it all together. And, they have a couple of new pieces this year that they didn't have last year, and it still worked out. Like Trey Turner has been terrible, and they're still winning. They're still getting it done. And I would imagine sooner or later, Trey Turner is just going to go on some freakish tear. And, Kyle Schwarber, he's hitting like 187 average of the year, but he's hit like 30 bombs. He'll end up with 100 RBIs. The Phillies are a weird team, but they win. And I do think they're going to continue to win.
Yeah, Lenny, your initial thoughts on it. You're on the run line? Yeah, this money might be a little high, so I would think the run line has a little bit
higher.
Yeah, it's gotten higher. And I got one name for you, Michael Lorenza. Former Tigers pitcher, traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, starting today. The dude's playing his best ball he's ever played in his life. And he's playing it at the right time on a team that traded for him because they needed that arm, that guy. And the kid, I shouldn't say the kid. He's 31 years old, but, he's 6-7 on the year with a 3.48 ERA. But prior to last game for Phillies, first time out against Miami, he pitches 8 innings, gives up 2 runs. Today, I'd be surprised if this guy gives up 3 runs. And Washington can hit the ball. I don't think he does. I like Philly, and I like Philly to kick this shit.
And Mackenzie Gore going for Washington.
Yeah,
he throws beach balls.
Yeah, he's got my arm, but in a more athletic body.
Same arm though. Same arm.
Gas can.
Yeah.
If you look at these wild card teams right now, Tampa Bay, Houston, Toronto, when you're looking at the AL wild card teams, then we move down to the National League, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Chicago. Who do you think is first out of those 6?
Who doesn't make it? Or
yeah.
Arizona probably.
Arizona is drowning.
2 games out of wild card.
They are drowning right now, and they were a smoke show early on. But
I don't think the Giants hold on.
I don't either. And also the Reds are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
The Reds are, but I think they're gonna.
I think the Reds will slip in though.
The Reds are the team that I looked at as well, and I'll tell you why. Because they had a streak of such hot games, and you have a guy like Ellie De La Cruz and all this hype and everything happening around the Reds right now. And it was sort of like the Pirates in the beginning of the year when they were really, really hot and then fizzled out some. I think the Reds were peaking at like just the wrong time. Now you hope it was like right, wrong, right again. But it could have been like peak, level off. Unfortunately, at this point in the season, luckily they're not in a very good division, so they could finish stronger than a lot of that, and that's probably what could help them more.
Yep.
See, out of the National League wild card, I like the Phillies and the Cubs. Those are my 2 to come out.
Cubs are playing well. I think. Do you guys think anybody that's lower down has a chance to make a run and get up there? If anybody, it's going to be the Padres. To me, the Padres are 4 games under 500, but have a plus 61 run differential. How does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
It's a crazy stat for sure.
They're 4 games under. They're 4 games back. 4 games under. And they have
4 games under and 4 games back out of the wild card. Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah.
And see, they go. Their next 12 is they're out there in the West. So like they're fixing to go finish with Seattle. Then they got to go to Arizona. Then they got Baltimore for 3, then Arizona at home for 4, then Miami, then Milwaukee, then St. Louis, then San Francisco. Like they're fixing to go through it. Mm-hmm. The best thing they have going is in September. They go to Oakland, then they host the Rockies, then they host the Cardinals, and then they finish a 3-game series in Chicago with the White Sox. So if they're close,
so they should have a big September.
Yeah, if they're close, that back end is they have the Giants are crammed into all that. They have to go to San Francisco, the second to the last series. So if they can get close, they have a shot down the stretch to get in there.
Hey, Cam, how about those Braves last night? The past 2 games at the Pirates as well. Obviously, been paying close attention, being with the team, but also having to cut a lot of highlights last night. And David Bednar blowing another game. Unfortunate to see our ace and our 2 all-stars, our ace and our closer for the Pittsburgh Pirates is where things are struggling right now. What's been so frustrating about this team has been they've been a pendulum. When their pitching's really good, their hitting's not good. When their hitting's really good, the pitching's not good. When things seem to line up, then someone's making errors in the outfield. So
Bad errors too.
You can't get all bad errors.
Like not like bad errors.
Run scoring errors. Exactly.
We're not talking about missing the ball like, you got from first to second. You got from second to home.
Exactly. And so
oh my God, you got to get inside the Parker.
It's scary, but I would think my hope for the Pirates at this point in the season, I would like to see Henry Davis get more experience catching at this point, throw him in there. Quinn Priester, I'd like to see him pitch a really strong game against the Braves tonight. I think this is key. And the Braves have one heck of a lineup, to say the least. It is holding your breath. Okay, when you play the team like the Braves as a Pirates fan, I hold my breath every single pitch because any one of those guys in the lineup, it's not just being afraid of a hit. It's being afraid of them getting a 3-run homer, 2-run homer, solo home run every single time they are up. You see why they're good. You look at that lineup and it strikes fear every single person that steps to the plate right now. I was very impressed with the way the Pirates were able to hit the ball. Hopefully that can help keep them in these games. I unfortunately can't really rely on their bullpen at all. They have a few good guys mixed in there, but it's not going to click at the right time. But Cam, to the Braves, I will say they strike fear in their opponents for sure with that batting lineup. It is no joke.
Yeah, they're playing well. Their pitching has been the biggest issue, but they have so many arms hurt. You know, they have
Max Fried Chicken's back today. Well,
yeah, but like they have other relievers hurt. Shaky starters. Like I really feel like there's quite a few guys in the bullpen and in the starting rotation right now that come October won't be. Like I don't think Chirinos is going to be a starter at the end of the year. You know, nothing against him. He doesn't seem to be a starting pitcher. He seems to be like a 1-2 inning guy. But the Braves, you know, and then Snit, he leaves them out there, I think a little long, but I think it's him giving a tryout, seeing how you do, seeing if you can bounce back, seeing if we can trust you. And the thing with the Braves is if you keep it close, we're going to catch you.
Right.
We're going to be able to run you down.
Yeah, they played 9 innings of baseball.
Yeah, like if you keep it close.
Oh, you know, last night they played 9 innings of baseball.
Right?
They played 9 innings and they were willing to go more.
And they don't have no problem doing it. Yeah.
Because those guys hit
the first 4 in the lineup, they've hit like 127 home runs.
They're
it's
ridiculous.
Insane. Well, speaking of home runs, any home run props today? When you have a guy like Quinn Priester, who's young and experienced on the mound and still finding his rhythm, he doesn't have super strong pitches just yet. Like it seems like every game he's walking, you know, slower fastballs, cranks one in there. But here's the thing, his fastballs guys have been able to, like good guys have, I think Santana, when he left the Pirates, went to the Padres, cranked one off them. So you're seeing this type of young guy come in here, and I'm so afraid. I hope he pitches a great game, and it's like, oh, here's the future. We see his heights. I don't think he's ready for this Braves lineup. If you look for any home run props, find someone from the Braves tonight with good odds.
You want a home run prop? The Atlanta Braves are a home run prop. The Atlanta Braves. All of them.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, everyone. We'll find the best odds and probably.
I think I would probably go with Riley and Olsen.
Yeah, Riley.
Matt Olsen tied the record. Matt Olsen tied the Braves record last night for fastest player to 100 RBIs in the season, and Matt has also had an RBI in 11 straight, which is crazy.
Like about this game, like I really like the Braves. Okay, today and. Like it was almost my best bet and a contest bet for me on the run line and all this stuff. Like, I mean, I love them. I love the over. I think the Braves can get to the over by themselves. You know what I mean?
That was my initial
thought. You know what I mean? Like, I really do believe that. But on the other hand, like I do the way I do my handicapping baseball wise, like I'll handicap it last night and then I'll like write everything down on these little pads of paper because I'm old and I'm still whatever. And then the next morning, like if I really like it, I'll bet it last night. And then I'll kind of look at some stuff that's a little fishy and then looking at the next morning and take like kind of go over my notes and what I like. And like I have multiple circles around the Pirates because I don't trust them to F around and find out, Julie Carly, and then beat the Braves because this kid comes out and pitches the game that we all know he can pitch. We're just waiting for him to pitch from the Pirates.
I completely agree. There's something sneaky about the Pirates in all of these games being like the underdog because when their bats are good, they can compete and these young guys can hit. I don't know if this is Priester's game. I just don't know if this is where he goes because as soon as somebody's going to hit loose on him and somebody's going to get going, he's looked shaken up every time that has happened.
I was just going to say, he looks rattled every time he lets, and if this Braves lineup is stacked from start to finish, we talked about that, and all it's going to take is one guy to get jack one time up for him, and he crumbles. And I'm hoping if he can stay ahead of them and somehow shut them down for like an inning, say he gets through the first 3 innings, the Pirates are a live dog. I will say that, but the Braves,
those first
play
3
9
to 4
innings of baseball.
Those first 3 to 4 innings are going to be really crucial because I think that's going to give the Pirates confidence moving forward. Because some guys in their bullpen can be good, and some of them are kind of new. Where the Braves are like, I haven't really seen these guys as Pittsburgh Pirates. But Quinn Priester is going to be the guy that's going to be like, we need to hold our breath and hope that no one gets a hold of him a few times. Real quickly before we start to wrap this show up, guys, NFL preseason is underway. I know people aren't super fans of betting in preseason just because you never know who you're going to see, what you're going to see. But I do want to know, aside from maybe the lines, the totals, all the numbers within betting, things that you just hope to see that would make you feel confident betting moving forward with teams. For example, the Texans and Patriots. The Patriots' Bailey Zappi will most likely be playing the significant minutes in this game. He was somebody they could count on last preseason, 45 of 71, 462 yards and a passing touchdown. And we saw him play quality minutes when Bill Belichick didn't trust Mac Jones. So we don't know the identity of this Patriots team yet, and it very well may not be Mac Jones long term. So for me to believe in the Patriots, I have to see some consistency and a game plan moving forward. Just as simple as that. I want to see them clicking in some capacity where we can trust them. If they look like they're all over the place, even in a preseason game, I want Bill Belichick to make a statement in terms of we look solid right now from every aspect. And that's what I'm looking for. So when you look at some of these preseason games, what are some of those statement marquee things you need to see to believe in a lot of these NFL teams this season?
I feel 100% the same way. I'm looking for those types of situations. And in this situation, I'm on the Patriots money line. I'm just going to throw that out there. I took the 3.5 points as well, but
is it because of Bailey Zappi being the guy?
I'm okay with that because he's had NFL experience. He's taken NFL snaps, first team, second team. He's been there a minute. You know what I mean? And he's trying to fight for the job, and I want that quarterback that's going to fight for him. And plus, Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? And
Bill Belichick.
Yeah, exactly. And Houston. Oh, great. You went out and drafted C.J. Stroud. You're probably not going to see a lot of him, if at all, anything. Davis Mills.
I think you'll see, for purposes of making sure his arm is as big and accurate as they'd like it to be, and maybe a connection with 1 or 2 receivers with some explosive plays, how the Jets sort of did with Zach Wilson last week, an explosive play or 2. I think they'll try to get C.J. Stroud some confidence that way. Other than that, I don't see him out on the field.
And Houston still, at the end of the day, you know, in the regular season, they're not good with their starters. What makes you think their second, third string is going to be good? That's what I ask people. I'll be like, what do you think their backups are good? And they just don't play them in the regular season? Like, I don't see this at all. I mean, I get it. Like, you can't really hold a lot of weight into that. But when I look at their depth chart, I see a lot of questionables and, you get back to training camp, you get those bumps and bruises. And the main goal out of preseason is to get everybody to the regular season. Would you like to see somebody, how they perform in situations and Would you like to, see some chemistry between some position players and stuff like that? Yeah, you'd like to, but the main goal is to get everybody healthy to game one. And
yeah, like Mike Tomlin saying today, everybody's going to see some minutes in the preseason. If TJ Watt and Cam Hayward are on that field, you are going to have very angry Steelers fans. We need nothing from those two. We need nothing out of them, especially TJ Watt. So those are the types of things you look for. Cam, any initial thoughts on the preseason of something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, of course, like what you guys said, that first go, with more ones than you're going to get for the rest of the way is a thing for me. But I also like the Patriots today, Bill Belichick, and then in Foxborough, preseason or not, it's going to be loud. They're going to be in there there's going to be a bunch of drunk guys screaming and hollering.
And my former Penn Stater, former Miami Dolphin, phenomenal tight end in the NFL, just didn't fit into Miami's game plan anymore, heads to Patriot land in Mike Gesicki. And he could be, I don't know how much they'll play him, but I would think you'd want to build his chemistry a little bit with somebody. He's a huge force to reckon with. He could be a guy that scores a touchdown. Maybe that'll be my fun prediction that Mike Gesicki will score a touchdown in Foxborough.
I could get on that prop. I could totally get on that prop. And that, Bill Belichick, he loves his tight ends. He loves that position. So, and you have Hunter Henry
Rob
there.
Gronkowski, Edelman, come on.
Right. I mean, you name it. And for a quarterback like a Mac Jones or a Bailey Zappi, you need a bailout. You need that security net. And the tight end position is made for that.
Not to mention the Texans defense isn't exactly the most deadly thing we've seen in 20 years.
And not to mention Patriots defense, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Another game, though, Vikings Seahawks really quickly. The Vikings, I have to say, Pittman, who turned into now Big Ten USC, Jordan Addison, I would like to see him and where he fits into this offense, because the Vikings, with Adam Thielen gone and with Dalvin Cook gone, they have Justin Jefferson. They need more stars on this offense to emerge. If Jefferson and Jordan Addison could be those guys, I think they're sitting really pretty, honestly, offensively this season. So will Jordan Addison get some looks? What will he turn out to be? Will he be a star? I'm excited for that game. What are your thoughts, Vikings Seahawks?
My thing with Jordan Addison, if he doesn't get the looks, who gets them?
Yep. Fair enough.
Justin Jefferson's going to get a ton of looks. We know that. But you can't throw him the ball every time. But honestly, if it's not, if you don't throw it to Jordan Addison, where do you throw it? You just throw it into the fourth row? You just throw it into the ground? He's going to have to get looks. And see, I think the Vikings, which sounds so crazy to say this about a 13-win team, I think the Vikings have a lot to prove, because 100%. The Vikings have caught a lot of flack. Even during last year, the big comeback against the Colts, they won 6 or 7 one-score games within one-score games last year. The Vikings are probably, that Vikings team last year could be the worst 13-win team ever.
Or they could be the best. And let me tell you why, to play devil's advocate. Everybody talks about how lucky or how bad they were, yet they still won one-score games. Or are they just that dog in the fight that knows how to win the one-score game?
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I mean, you know what I mean? They know how to win those close games. And you know what scares the hell out of me as a Lions fan? Is everybody talking crap about the Minnesota Vikings being not a good 13-win team. Because if they come out and you want them to be the underdog mentality after winning the division. If nobody's going to put any respect on their name, that scares the shit out of me as a Lions fan, because they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder.
A veteran quarterback right. Who is
and possibly the best receiver in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, and the best receiver in the game, in my opinion.
Absolutely, that could be a scary team for sure. I think the Vikings defense is definitely going to be their woe again this season. They've really got to work on that. So I think that will be important to see against the Seahawks. Luckily, the Seahawks defense not too great either. Maybe there'll be an over to look at in this one.
I have nothing in that game, and it's ugly for me. And to be honest, it'd be ugly in the regular season too. That would be one of those games where I'm like, ooh, I like the Vikings. If this was week 8, just middle of the season, I'd probably like the Vikings, but because it's in Seattle, I don't like it. And Pete Carroll, and then there's a young, Kevin O'Connell is he's got to be a guy going into his second year of being a head coach. He's like, man, my first year, I knocked it out the park. I got 13 wins. And all anybody wants to talk about is how we lost in the playoffs. I'm like, I'm a rookie head coach. That's how I would feel. And I think he's coming out with something to prove too. And side note, here's what I got out of that quarterback series on Netflix as well from Kirk Cousins' parts. I don't think those two, the head coach and the quarterback, are on the same page.
I don't either. Interesting you brought that up. I think there is definitely a lack of communication. I think there's a loss of connect. And I think Kirk Cousins, they don't trust Kirk Cousins to audible plays. How the Steelers are going to have to, how the Steelers trusted Kenny Pickett by his third game last year to do this. I don't think Kirk Cousins has that permission as much. I really, truly don't. You might be an amazing person, an amazing leader. You lead by example. You do the right things. You do the simple things well. You call plays well. You run plays well. But to audible those plays, I don't think he sees the football field in that way. Good. Yes. As like a Patrick Mahomes is the standard, but as a lot of quarterbacks we see, like a Joe Burrow, a Kenny Pickett, even a Justin Herbert, we're seeing a lot of these guys make the right call, and it's their call. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is there, and that's scary for me. I think that's why Minnesota, people could say, was maybe a fake last year, because if your coach and quarterback weren't on the same page, a lot of that stuff could have been a fluke.
Yeah, it could be. I don't think he has the backing of that locker room either, to be honest with you. I don't see a whole lot of confidence from his teammates or coaching staff come with Kirk Cousins. And I'm going to throw this out there, and people give me shit about it. Josh Allen is baby Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have the backing either, I think. And there's some beef there with some of the receivers.
Interesting thought.
And I'm just going to say this. He's got all the talent in the world, but I don't know if he's got that backing.
If you're not Stephon Diggs, I agree.
And I'm just saying.
100%. I agree with the theory. I don't agree with the quarterback talent comparison, because I think Josh Allen is levels above Kirk Cousins and the athlete that he is at that position. I do agree with maybe the locker room backing a bit, and I think that's going to play a huge part. Whereas when it comes to a guy and, recency bias and location bias to Kenny Pickett, if anything, he's got the locker room. 1,000% has that locker room. 100%. These guys, they're riding for Kenny Pickett.
They're going to get a tattoo with his name on it.
Absolutely. That's what the vibe, the energy feels like here. They know that guy is going to lay it on for them. Right. And so I think that's where you see the differences if you have to compare. Regardless, NFL preseason, we don't love to bet on, but we love the storylines that will emerge. One that I'm looking forward to, like I said, Zappy and Mac Jones. This could be more of a battle than what people are making it out to be. So I'm excited. I'm rooting for Bailey Zappi to see what he does and how consistent he is. This is Bet Win Repeat live Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Download that new Picks and Parlays app, available on all mobile device platforms. Everyone go watch the Johnny Manziel documentary. Get your opinions ready. Get your popcorn ready. It is interesting, and you will be questioning a lot of things about college football over the years after you watch it. This has been Bet Win Repeat. Like, subscribe, share, follow along, all the things over on Picks and Parlays. Head over to picksandparlays.net. Use promo code MLB, saves you 20% off the entire site, and use that promo code because NFL betting is just around the corner, and we know all of you are going to want to be getting our best bets from our best handicappers. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Hannah Mears, Cam Ross, and our Detroit Lenny with his Lions over there as well. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Boom.